Quiz talked with the demon barber himself, Bob Gunton.
It's been said some actors would kill for a starring role on Broadway, and Bob Gunton is no different. In fact, he kills off cast members each night in the Broadway revival of Sweeney Todd.
You stayed your life the way I dreamed you are.
Gunton portrays the demon barber of Fleet Street in this revival of Stephen Sondheim's Tony Award-winning musical. It is the story of a barber who seeks revenge for crimes against his family. He takes out that revenge on the throats of unsuspecting customers, while his accomplice, Mrs. Lovett, played by Beth Fowler, stuffs his victims into meat pies. It brings new meaning to the phrase mystery meat.
There, your sack full, Mrs. Lovett's meat pie, savory and sweet pie.
The musical was first performed in 1979 in a version that starred Len Cariou and Angela Lansbury. Hal Prince directed the production on a grand scale that cost $6 million. The 1989 version cost considerably less, about $600,000.
What would you say are the differences between the production you folks are putting on and the production we saw about 10 years ago?
The original production was a kind of conventional proscenium show. It was huge, a magnificent physical production, but the audience was basically watching it unfold in front of them, whereas our production, they are like this.
Although it is a smaller version, Gunton says the revival has certain advantages. The show is played in the round and gives the audience a ringside seat when Sweeney takes razor in hand. He says the secret behind Sweeney's close shave is lots of fake blood.
The whole trick of it is timing, and the audience sees this arc of red when they weren't expecting it. Then they know the show means business. It's not gory in the sense of watching Halloween Part 12. It certainly doesn't bother me.
Even though Bob Gunton says his role in Sweeney Todd doesn't give him nightmares, he says it does make him think twice about ordering pot pie for lunch. Cynthia Tornquist, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
In foggy old London, an eerie factory whistle pierces the darkness, and so begins the slashing saga of that legendary cut-up.
Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Yes, Sweeney is the 19th century madman who indiscriminately cuts throats, and the corpses are then baked into meat pies by his mad mistress.
You're crazy mad. Killing a man what done you no harm, and the lad downstairs.
He recognized me from the old days. Tried to blackmail me. Half my earnings forever.
Oh, well, that's a different matter.
How can a homicidal maniac be a musical hero? Well, Sweeney went crazy after a crooked judge jailed him, despoiled his wife, and stole his daughter. And if the rich can grow fat off the poor, why can't the poor literally eat the rich? In the original production, giant steel girders symbolize the horrors of the Industrial Revolution. In this vest pocket revival, clotheslines with hanging wash achieve the same end, and the intimacy heightens the drama. And Bob Gunton is riveting as a touching Sweeney.
Pretty women. Fascinating. Sipping coffee.
Pretty Women is one of the glories of Stephen Sondheim's magnificent score, which has songs of tender beauty, racking pain, and rollicking humor. As Mrs. Lovett, Beth Fowler is enjoyably obsessed, but she won't make you forget Angela Lansbury, and there's always the problem of this theater's acoustics. Otherwise, this Sweeney is a triumph.
Sitting in the window, standing on the stair, something in them cheers the air. Pretty women, sweater, stay within you, glancing.
Directed directed by Susan Schulman, Stephen Sondheim's Sweeney Todd, a brilliant revival of a brilliant musical. Get your tickets. It's Broadway at its best.
Sweeney Todd was a smash hit 10 years ago, you'll recall, with Angela Lansbury playing Sweeney's sidekick. This year, the stars have changed, but as Dennis Cunningham is here to tell us now, the thrill is still there. Dennis.
That is for sure. Is this new production, maybe some wonder, small and intimate, this new production? Is it as good as the original 1979 production? Awesome and overpowering? No, and some night we'll have a nice little chat comparing the two. But the most important thing now is that this small Sweeney Todd does manage something awesome throughout. It makes it very clear that Stephen Sondheim's Sweeney Todd is brilliant, not just one of Broadway's best ever, but beyond that, I'm convinced of this, a work of theatrical genius.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd, set in the grime of turn-of-the-century industrial London, a story harsh and grim, a story of a barber avenging himself on his hated life by murdering his customers. A barber who meets up with Mrs. Lovett, an amoral woman whose meat pie business becomes enormously successful after she and Sweeney decide to work together. Her pies, his customers. Yes, the musical is finally a bleak opera set in a world ruled by money and injustice and corruption. It is finally also a terrifying experience, and I certainly wouldn't take kids to see this, but it is throughout, as I said earlier, brilliant, and it is throughout exhilarating in its brilliance.
Meaning anyone and to anyone at all.
Yeah, now sometimes this production under the loving direction of Susan Schulman does tend to get too cutesy, too jokey, and I do wish there were maybe 6 more cast members. I was afraid Sweeney was going to run out of victims. But the talented folk here are totally at the service of Sondheim's music and lyrics, Hugh Wheeler's book, Hal Prince's original production, and they are just the things to serve, believe you me. So do, please, as the first line of the play says, attend the tale of Sweeney Todd, who served a dark and a vengeful God.
It's a smaller production, but still a giant of a play.
Yeah, and it reminds you 10 years later just how good this is. I always thought it was good. I forgot it was